Talk about it with Fran Jazz. Today we have two special guests. The co-founders of Happy Munkey, the first licensed dispensary in Inwood. Today's guests are Vlad and Ramon.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having us, my brother.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you so much for having us, man. You know, we've been looking at you, putting Yonkers on the map out here. We felt like it was time for us to jump on the wave.
I like that. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
How did you find me? Was it through the hashtag of like?
So me, right? We've been, because we always do some sort of like preliminary, some sort of like search for things that we've been wanting to do, right? Ever since we got our own podcast, we figured let's get on a lot of other people's podcasts, and then especially as far as that we moved to Dykeman. I was looking for something that's close, like in the Dykeman area. The Dykeman, Riverdale, Yonkers, all these places are kind of close together because, not for nothing, Dykeman is 15 minutes away from here, right?
Yeah.
So I was kind of making sure that we get all the crowd going on that's from these different neighborhoods that's close to Dykeman. And I found yours. I was like, this is right up our alley, right?
like
Because
that.
it could be a bunch of other podcasts out there, but we need something that's a little bit more like our flow or whatever the case may be. And I found it on Instagram, straight up and down. Yeah.
Perfect. I like that.
So whatever you're doing is working, man.
Yeah,
you
it
got,
is.
Right?
You got our attention.
Yeah,
All
I
the way
was
from
like, yo, let me
Dykeman,
look
I like
up
it.
Yonkers podcast. And boom, salite tú.
Perfect. It worked. It worked out perfect. That's what I
Yes,
do it
sir.
for.
Word up.
Let's start off with a little wellness check. How are you guys doing today?
Oh, man, I can't complain, man. I'm alive. I get to work on things that I love every day. I ain't mad at it. I'm here.
I love it.
Feeling good, happy that, we out here making people happy, doing what we love every day. Wake up, look at the ceiling. We're alive. It's a beautiful feeling.
No pun intended, right? You're making people happy.
Word up.
I like that. Continuing with the brand.
Yeah, man.
That's how you do it. I like it. So let's start all the way from the beginning. Where were you guys born?
I was born and raised in Harlem, and parents Dominican, but born and raised on 139th Street, Sugar Hill,
Nice.
Broadway.
Yeah, for me, it was Washington Heights. Born in St. Luke Hospital, but I'm uptown, 20 blocks away from him, 156th Street between Broadway and Amsterdam. Parents are Dominican, same, typical Dominican uptown stories. My parents came from DR, and I'm here now.
Nice. And how did you guys meet?
We went to high school together. We went to George Washington High School, and then we had mutual friends, and then we just kept on running in the same circles till we finally started rocking together as we got older because we were in the same industry and similar values, and then we ended up having this company like 7 years ago, and with my other two partners, J and O. But I would say we started rocking hard probably for like the last 10 years.
Yeah.
But we started like high school.
Nice. Before high school, before you guys met, what was childhood like for the both of you?
Ooh. Well, I would say this, right? Because we both passed through the same junior high school. He was just only there for like a year. He got kicked out. So we both went to school in Harlem. I have 3 older brothers, and not that but two of them was in the street already. So I was like the little brother of the OGs. You know what I'm saying? I was always around that. I was always around OGs. My parents did a good job as far as like, teaching me values and, making sure the house is tight because I was the youngest out of 4. So it was all boys. It's not like there was girls in the house. So we all had to kind of figure it out and kind of like learn how to, do our part. And honestly, it was cool. It was neighborhood back then. Back then, the neighborhoods, even though it was like full of like drug infested and all this other stuff, but for me, it was still big on community. Like my parents could send me to the store at 8, 9 years old, and they feel safe because I know everyone on that block. I know the store person. I could play the numbers for her in the back and get the groceries in the front. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is Washington Heights neighborhood, Dominican.
That's like
old
DR.
school.
They'll even feel comfortable selling you beer because they know you're taking it to mom.
Exactly.
That's beautiful. How about for you? How was your childhood?
For me, I have a younger brother and an older sister. My sister's like way older than me though. My sister's probably like
She ain't that
12.
older than you. You can't say that to Tanya about Jay. You can't.
She's like she's well over 10 years older than me. So, I grew up a single mother, rough, coupons, welfare. And, I sort of became the man of the house early. So by 12 years old, I had to start kind of hitting the streets and, as they say, start interning for the drug dealers and doing errands and doing whatever I had to do. So, kind of like, had the similar, community stuff, at the beginning before 12, playing manhunt tag, the neighborhood sports, but just, got cut short because at 12 I had to go sort of like, go hunting, find food to bring home for my little brother and for my mother and for the family. So I sort of like, grew up kind of fast and, started, interning and hustling. And then by 16, I actually started my cannabis career because I started smoking weed when I was 12. And then we always had to go to Uptown in Washington Heights to Dykeman to get the good weed. And back then, I had the vision of like, since I had 4 years interning, I'm like, I got to find my lane because all the other lanes were taken. I was like, you know what? Why don't I buy an ounce? And instead of, having to come up here to buy dimes and 20s, I could just have this. And if it doesn't work, I'll smoke it. But I got everything to gain, nothing to lose. And that started my cannabis career. And that's how, never stopped selling cannabis ever since. But that's sort of a long story short of the upbringing.
I like that. So tell us about that 12-year-old experience, your first experience with cannabis.
I was cutting school at a friend's house on
Started bad already.
142nd Street. Shout out to my man Twin, Alexi, and Jose and them. They were like a little older than me. They were like 2, 3, 4 years older than me. And
That's such a big deal when you're young, right?
Went and smoked and, just like, remember like, growing up in a rough, tough environment, come from humble beginnings. So, it was like sort of like something that made you feel good. You got to laugh with your friends, have the munchies, everything is funnier. So it was just like something out of all the options and everything we were going through growing up. It was like, damn, something cool that you could do with your friends that doesn't put you in a compromising situation as far as like using it or whatever. So that was like how I first started smoking cut in school in a friend's house.
Nice. How about your age that you started?
I think similar, more like 13. Similar, almost like a similar situation, but we all lied and said we was gonna sleep at my friend's house type of shit because my friend, he had the crib at the moment. And since we had the crib all night, we was like, fuck it, let's smoke, let's try to smoke. And at the time, it wasn't like it was great weed available. On top of that, we're 13. It's not like we got $20 to spare to go buy some good weed at the time. And we're talking about the 90s, ladies and gentlemen. I know now everybody like, what you mean you ain't had $20? It was 12, 13 years old. 1996
That's
or
like
some shit like that. 95.
$100.
You know what I'm saying?
You last the whole day with $5.
Yeah,
Going out of control.
So between a couple of us, we had, I think we had like two Nicks at the time, and those fat old school Jamaican Nicks, and we rolled a couple joints and we smoked. We caught the giggles, got the munchies, had a good time and fell asleep. It was on after that though. That's it. I was like, yo, that's it, yo. We love this. That's it.
Nice. So then high school happens, and anything in high school that stands out?
Well, like I said, in high school, I was already like, well off to the races and was already full blown in the streets, was already, moving out of my house and moving into my own place. And
nice.
So
business is picking up.
Yeah, he was outside already at
exactly.
16.
So I was like I said, that's why I told you, like, I mean, like, the childhood got caught off early because, I had to grow up fast. And then, like when we went to high school together, I went to Brandeis first before George Washington. And that was okay, but it was a little still rough and tough and, a little not as fun. And then I got kicked out of there, and then I went to George Washington where I met with him, and it was like, all Dominicans uptown. It was like a club. All the,
that shit was fly.
All the guys
That
are dressed
shit
fly,
was
and
fly.
then all the women are dressed like if they're going to the club with heels and dresses, and it was like, wow, this is like going to a club right there. I love this. I love to go to school right there.
Yeah, think about it, right? We're talking about, right, anywhere between 96 and like 2000, 2001, right? This moment in life in Washington Heights, like the kids were making money, right? So if people like Vlad, 16, 17, he was already maybe had a foot in school, but he was already outside. It was a lot of that going on, right? Because he wasn't the only one. And then there was guys like me who I did go to school, even though, I wasn't like the greatest in class, but I did show up. I did have the brothers hand me down. I had my own chains and the watches, and I was already like entering, like him. I was an intern. I wasn't necessarily full blown outside, but I was an intern because I had all the OGs around me already. So it wasn't so to me, it was kind of like I already had it there, like, and I had it in my house already, right? So I was kind of like already rocking out in high school. We did like adult things in high school already. Like it was like we were already taking people out to restaurants, and
people driving to
people
school.
were driving to
I was driving to school.
like, and then for us in the city, that's a big deal. Like we don't grow up with. I know guys in Yonkers, y'all get your junior licenses at 16, 17. We wasn't doing that shit. You niggas was driving with no license already. Like, so that's kind of like the wave that was happening for us uptown. Like uptown was
a golden
lit.
era of uptown that I remember right there.
It was lit because our friends owned spots, and like weed spots were emerging all over the place. Like, high school was a big, like, it changed for me. I think it changed for me as well because, like he said, I was going every day to basically a club. It wasn't even like, we would show up in class, but it was like, it was a party every day, it was lit. Like he said, the girls would be dressed up like if they work at 9 West or something like that. Like it was crazy. Like
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Can't even imagine.
Yeah, even the girls didn't even deal with like at least like the flyest girls in school. They didn't deal with the flyest dudes in school. They dealt with the drug dealers. You know what I mean? Like they were already had adults and shit. They were getting driven to school, and we were having proms. They were showing up with the drug dealers. You know what I'm saying?
It was like the Dominican version of Saved by the Bell.
It was lit. It was lit. It was definitely lit.
I like that.
G-Dubs was lit.
Man, that sounds interesting. And then, did you guys both graduate?
He did not graduate. I didn't graduate. I got my diploma afterwards. I went to another school called Westside, where it was kind of like an alternative school, and that was even like a bigger like drug dealer situation because everybody just sold drugs. Everybody who just showed up, I was driving at the time already. Like that's it. I was like I would show up and everybody's there. All the everybody who owns a spot in every other block that's like my age or a little bit younger, they got chains and Vansons ons and all sorts of shit. Like at that point, it was just like lit. Like we were going to lunch at like restaurants. We were going to Flor de Mayo for lunch, Jordan. You know what I'm saying? We talking about 18, 19 years old. We're not adults yet. We're going to Flor de Mayo for lunch. That was like the situation,
I dropped out like end of 10th grade. Like 10th grade was my last grade.
You knew that it wasn't for you.
Yeah, just like I said, I already knew from like ninth it wasn't for me, but it was just like he said, it was fun. And remember, like I'm 16, 15, I'm doing well for myself. Where else am I gonna show off at? That's the only place school. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's no
school. That's where all the girls is at.
No other place, really.
Everybody your age is in school.
Yeah.
Oh man. So what comes after high school? Obviously no college.
No college. I guess this is when
Just continue working.
Yeah, everybody continue working. Now I'm on board. Now I'm all over the place. I got brothers that just came home from jail at that moment. So now that shit is on. Now I'm in the streets. Vlad is in the streets. We go from interning to pitching to managing to transporting to delivery to everything that you can think of as far as weed. Every position that you can think of, we've done. Yeah, fucking, it got lit. At the time, especially after high school. Now we're talking, 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003. Now this is the Hayes era. Now this is like, the OGs now are kind of like they're doing their thing, but now it's like the Vlads of the world, you know, the Ramones of the world. Now we're coming up, and now we're in our 20s, and now we making moves. I'm going to Miami for my brothers and friends, but I'm buying my own pounds too. Like that's it. Like the movement is happening, and we were basically a part of the Hayes movement uptown. You know, Vlad had his spot at 139th. This was a spot that was rocking basically 24 hours. You know, he could tell you the exact time, but this is 24 hours. And at the time, there's no spots open after 2 o'clock in the morning. So basically, the only spot that you could go to around that area at that moment in time was on 139th and Broadway, right? So even me as a customer, I used to go over there and buy weed at a certain time because you couldn't get weed nowhere else.
This is why we're saying that even though we weren't working together, like we were crossing paths, like we were in similar circles.
Yeah, we were always in similar circles. You know, his friends were my friends and mutual friends, and we would all do things together. You know, and it was everything. Like the streets at the time, you know, it was a big market, and it was like it was like the norm. You know what I mean? Like to kind of just do your thing, and people be like, okay, yeah, that's Vladimir, and people like they already know what he does, and it's okay. And yeah, after high school, man, college was the streets, you know.
So now I'll give you the flip side, right, Francisco? Because you know it's good to talk about the positives, right? And you know, cool, you know, started early, did well for myself early. But you know, also, you move fast, and then everything else happens fast. So by the time I was 21, I got caught with like 20 pounds and $80,000, and caught a few other cases. And now I was going to prison by the time I was like 21, 22 to do a 1 to 3. You know, so this is what comes after high school, right? Because I told you, dropped out like 17. You know, was doing really well, but you know, obviously I'm moving really fast, and then you know. You crash, and now you know you gotta go to some say the closest thing to hell. You know, away from your family, away from your friends, away from everybody to go. You know, I wouldn't wish into my worst enemy. So you know, there's heaven, there's hell, and there's valleys and there's peaks, right?
Absolutely. I was gonna ask too, because back then when you guys started this, it was straight up illegal.
Yeah, the war on drugs was heavy, and it was.
So what was the fear and the risk like? You guys knew how bad it could be, the repercussions?
100%. 100%. There was...
I know there's a lot of people, the bigger the payout,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. I think a lot of people live under the delusion of not knowing that there's something coming. I always knew because I got older brothers, and they were already in jail by the time before I even made it to high school. So I knew if I'm getting in this, I'm going all the way. I'm going 100%. I don't care. I know what it is. I know the rules. I know if I get caught, shit is mine. These rules were already kind of like embedded in me, right? I was kind of like ready for the world. I know a lot of young men are very delusional when they step into that like realm, and they get a moment where they do make money and they feel like, oh, I'm gonna live forever. This shit, you know. But no, the reality is there is gonna be a moment where you go to jail, or you know, not too many people are lucky. You know, I've been arrested a bunch of times. I never done time, though. You know what I'm saying? So I was one, and I'm one of the lucky ones, just so you know. You know what I'm saying? And that's very rare to hear. You know what I'm saying? That someone who didn't do time.
Absolutely.
And then, friends, it's easy to give you perspective, right? Because, you know, hindsight is always 20/20, but at the moment, right, when all this is happening, so like he said, like this is late 90s, early 2000s. So what's happening uptown and in Harlem is that everybody that is getting arrested, 90% of them is not for weed. It's like, as far as like wholesaling is for cocaine, for crack, for heroin. So we, like you said, I knew that I could do time for weed, but I knew that it's much more digestible than where you get caught with the other stuff. So even though I know the risk is better than dealing with the other substances, because everybody we know is going away for 10, 20 years. People are getting killed. So it's like a lot of craziness happening in between the good stuff that we mentioned. So we know what the consequences are with weed, and it's way better, even though it's still fucked up, than the other options. Like, as far as the consequences.
I think for us, what it was is because we in Washington Heights, Harlem, and the biggest drugs are crack, cocaine, dope, and all this other shit, e-pills. Those are all bigger drugs to us. So to us, it's like weed. Oh, I could do time for weed. I'm good. I ain't going up forever. But we still knew we was doing time for it, you know what I mean? It's still illegal. We still getting arrested a bunch of times for blunts, whatever, anything. Like, people getting arrested for anything. So, you know, for us, we was just ready.
So tell us about the time you did. You had to do 1 to 3. How long you did?
So I did a year. So actually, I was just talking about this because I was on a show recently. Shout out to Pistol Pete. Another podcast called Dog in the Yard.
Yeah, I've watched it. You were on there?
Yeah, I was just on there,
Nice.
and it's about prison because now he does prison reform and goes and speaks to the youth. So I was telling him about my experience and telling them, because the goal is to try to get the youth to understand that, hopefully people like me and others did it so they don't have to go through it because it's not a place for humans. And
Definitely
it's messed up because, went in really young, like I said, 21, and Rikers Island, is not for the faint of heart. That's already like a situation where, as soon as you get in, you got to fight for the phone, and it's a real tense situation. Then after that, they send you upstate, and then since I was 21, they send you to like where the adolescents are, or not necessarily adolescents, but like people in their 20s and in their teens. And, those are usually more violent and more trouble.
So you went to the States?
Yeah, I went to the States.
Where did you go?
Green Correctional
I was just about
Facility.
to say Green. Green is where
And
the young
I
guys
only
are.
lasted about a month there before I got into an incident where I had to defend myself because somebody was trying to take my food, and then I had to go to the box to solitary confinement for 120 days. And then, it's my first time. I didn't know. And I was like, so now what other medium security prison am I going to? And they're like, no, you're not going to medium security prison. You're going to a maximum security. I said, you're crazy. Like maximum security, you have to be doing 7 years or more. They're like, no, but you are violent. Your classification went up. So now they sent me to a maximum security prison called Elmira, where there's people doing 100 years, 80 years. So now, Francis, I'm 21 years old in this really horrible environment. Thank God I made it out. But like, you could get just stuck in there because think about it, like you're in a really, really compromising situation. So
You could easily commit another crime.
So for those watching out there, it's really not worth it because you could just come in for something small and end up spending the rest of your life in there because you get put in compromising situations. So definitely it was a wake up call. I made the best of it. Read books, got my GED in there, but I wouldn't recommend it to anybody because it's not a pleasant experience.
Not at all. I was a CO for 8.5 years in the state.
Oh man,
I've been to Green and all that. Yeah, Green is like
Gladiator school.
dorm setting, right? And then the shoe was a shoe 200, right?
Correct.
Crazy. I worked at shoe 200. That's no joke.
I try to tell the youngins, like we were talking about it there, like right now in this era, you see a lot of them, they don't want to have a fist fight. They want to go grab a gun and kill somebody right away. And I'm like, then they're going to put you in a place where you're going to have to fight every day for 25 years because you didn't want
You're
to
violent now, yeah.
You don't want to have that one
ain't
fight outside.
Ain't no gun in there.
There's no guns.
Ain't no gun in there. You gotta fight, kid.
And then you think you're tough, but you're tough in your neighborhood. Then they're gonna put you with the toughest guys from every neighborhood in New York State or the country, and there's always somebody tougher.
Always somebody tougher. Absolutely. So, but you ended up doing another bit?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
all that
Outside, fam.
experience.
Yeah, man. It's just that it's harder to survive out here, and it's hard after you're trying to rehabilitate yourself, you're trying to get a job. Now you've got a felony on your record. It's hard to get a job. Hard to get
You don't want that slow money anyway. Right?
No, I'm saying, but even if you do, you're gonna get like the real slow money because you're not gonna get as many opportunities as a person that doesn't have a jacket. So fast forward when I was like 29 years old, 30 years old, I ended up catching another case and ended up doing copping out to 4 years. And I did 3 out of the 4.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, same thing, weed?
Yeah.
Damn.
And wrong time, wrong place. And then after that, I it's just to show you how things come back to haunt you. Because I came home from a max, they sent me back with that same classification and had to wait. First I went to to 5 Points Correctional Facility. Spent a year there. Then my classification got dropped. I went to Watertown, and thank God I didn't have any problems. And I came home from Watertown, and then that was it.
That's when me and him got cool after his second bid. Yeah.
Man, that sucks, man. I already know the pain, bro. And they sent you up there.
They sent you up there.
Those facilities, I never walked in. Those are deep.
Yeah, Watertown is basically in Canada, fam.
But it's like anything else, you know. It's just like out here. Like, you either take the time to try to make yourself better, or you just waste your time doing dumb stuff. I got my GED in there. I read over 1,000 self-help books in there. Took different classes on things and just got really healthy. I came out. I became a personal trainer, and started getting my way to getting my life together to the best of my ability.
Perfect. And now it's legal, so it's like you made it.
But the thing is, though, that's a great thing that you just mentioned. It's legal and we made it, but there's still 40,000 people in prison for cannabis right now.
Non-violent offenders, just weed, that they had weed. You know what I'm saying?
That's insane.
So it's not, none of us are free until we all free. It's messed up because I've been there. These people are in these circumstances, and there's people out here making billions of dollars off of this.
Hell yeah. So when you got arrested, what was it, like a fine in court or something?
Yeah, I got arrested a bunch of times. I got arrested for smoking, having weed on me, getting pulled over, had a couple pounds in the trunk. I've had to do probation for it. So I've been arrested up here, coming through here because I was going upstate, and they sent me to Valhalla for the weekend. So I would have to go to Valhalla. I got bailed out. They gave me probation, fines, all sorts of shit. And I had to, do the same shit. Like I had to go report every month. Sometimes they check my piss. I got through that because I'm a heavy smoker.
So what you do?
I did a bunch of shit. I did a bunch of different shit. You know what I'm saying?
You tried everything.
Yeah. I tried not, because I was lucky because they tested me in the beginning, right? And what I did was, this is graphic and I'm gonna be nasty as fuck. I know I got a friend who's super clean. He wasn't smoking no weed, no anything. I was like, yo, I'm gonna give you this little thing, fill it up.
Get that clean urine.
Warm it up, and I'm gonna just put it in my joint. And then I put it right here next to, I got some underwear where I could put it sanitary style. And then I took it out like if I was peeing, and I put pee in the joint. And it was clean, and they ain't never tested me after that. And I did all the things that they wanted me to do. I paid the fines. I did community service. I did all the shit. They had like 300 hours of community service and some shit. It was crazy. Yeah. I did all the things, and I did the 5-year probation. I cut it short because I did all the things I was supposed to do. And that's it, man. That was pretty much my experience. I've been arrested a couple times, pulled over in a couple different states. I've been through it all, back and forth. In the Hayes era, I did the Miami thing, and now the Cali thing. We went to Cali. Like, I was involved in almost everything that you can think of as far as like weed. After that,
Nice.
Yeah, bro, this shit's crazy. It's been a ride.
So when you guys connect again after your second bid,
Yeah.
how does the conversation start to team up and do it legally?
Well, when he first came home, he was training. I was already hanging out with his best friend at the time, so we were already. That's it. So by the time he came home, I was a part of the welcome party, right? Let's say, right? The welcome home party, right? So
welcome home party,
and that's it. We was involved and we was doing things together, here and there, because you the thing is about the streets. You kind of stick to the guys you trust and did solid things. So for me, it's like this is his second bid. He kept solid. It's good money. You know what I mean? Like, so to me, it was an easy guess. And then we just eventually we started hanging and more. It was crazy because we did more friendship things in the beginning than we actually did, business. We did a lot of friendship things and hang out and vacations and this and that. And then eventually, of course, we started doing business together. But the one thing that hit me is I went to Europe, and in this Europe trip I went to Amsterdam, and in Amsterdam I saw the way legal weed was being treated. The cafes were fucking awesome.
Yeah, I've never been.
Yeah, so they have legal cafes where you can basically consume. You can basically go smoke weed. Depending on the style of the cafe, it's either you got some coffee or you got some edibles or you got, they treat it different, right? Each his own. They got a different theme in every cafe. So I saw that. I went through great experience, and I'm more or less at the time definitely more the introvert than of the pair. I'm more the quiet one. I'm not going to talk in the crowd. He is. So at the time, I'm observing, and I had a great social moment while I was in Amsterdam. So I was like, I got to bring this back home. And to me, and I know to him, like the idea that I was bringing was the lightest thing we've ever done as far as like the streets. I was like, this easy shit, bro. We've done a bunch of like stuff to take risks. We've done, like he likes to say, we've done worse for less. You know what I'm saying?
I like that.
Yo, we broke. Let's go do this shit. I don't care what we get out of it. We just need something, right? So
was this time? Was it still illegal here?
it was still illegal here.
Okay, so then isn't that a bigger risk because you're thinking about a storefront?
No, not yet.
Because they could find you.
Not
It's
yet.
Not like
I got you.
Move around.
Hold on, I got you. So we wasn't thinking storefront. We was thinking speakeasy. We were thinking events. We were thinking Amsterdam cafe event, but with a New York flair. Because again, we were already in the street. We were already that drug dealer lifestyle, the clubs, the restaurants, the this, the that, the vacations. We were already that, and we were already like, fuck it, we're gonna do something that matches that fly. It's not gonna be a session where everybody's selling weed and going crazy. We're gonna have a dispensary all the way in the back somewhere, like California style, where you got all the flavors and edibles. And this is 2017. Nobody is doing this late yet. So we set up this whole California dispensary in the back room somewhere, but the rest of the place is a lounge. This is on 38th Street. And at the time, it was called Fight Club Studios. So it was already a studio. It was already people coming back and forth. We already got friends in our network. So he's like, let's just have an event. And we had an event. It was a successful event. It was crazy. We had a magician. Yeah, because we were thinking, let's have entertainment, not just people rapping and singing. We wanted entertainment. We wanted art, magician, contortionist, Michael Jackson impression, all this type of shit. We had all sorts of weird stuff, right? So I was like, yo, let's do this event. The first event was great. We did a second event, which was like a Halloween. And that's it. Like from there on, to us, it was like, oh, this is not as risky as having to take 20 pounds uptown. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is just, we might have a couple pounds in the back of the dispensary, but not even that many. We didn't have to. You just had to have enough for the customers. You didn't have to have 20 crazy, something where if we got raided, I could take the blame because I'm the one with the less felonies in the room. So I'm coming home. These go bail me out. I'm coming home. So that was basically what we were willing to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, like we said earlier, when we was ready to hit, when we left the Porsche, we knew what we was getting into. So with this, we knew what we was getting into. It was just the less of all the evils. It's like, fuck it, let's do this shit. So we had events. That's where we built the brand at. That's when we said, let's build a brand. Not a tough brand, not a gangster brand, not a street brand. We already come from that. Let's make something, let's make something that makes people feel a certain way, and a positive one. I want people to feel positive. You know, I've been through a lot of shit. He's been through a lot of shit. I want people to feel positive when they come into our event or store or whatever it is we have, whatever brand we come up with, whether it's a podcast, whatever it is, we want people to feel good. So the events 100% convey that. We made people feel good. Like the weed was like the cherry on top. But the fact that people could kind of like sit just like this and kind of chill, smoke, and we don't necessarily even have to talk about what we do. But Frank Jazz is the CEO. Vlad is the crook. I'm like a doctor. Then we got the rap over. It was all sorts of like different people just hanging together. So that's what kind of like took us, like we took it serious. That's it. Once we saw that, we took it serious. And Vlad, because Vlad is, he's just like, me, I like to do things. He comes up with shit, right? So he was like, I got a friend that knows about these legal conferences. Our friend, his name was Josh Tepperberg. Shout out to him.
Shout out to Josh.
He takes us to our first legal weed conference. We didn't even understand what that was. I was like, what?
Those words don't even make sense together.
Yeah, I was like, what? And he was like, yes. There's a room full of people in the legal world trying to figure out what's next. They're literally talking about these things. These things was happening all the way downtown in Soho. This was not happening in the hood. So he came back and got me and said, come on, you gotta come. You gotta come next time. There's no, like, don't just come. Just show up. Watch. And I showed up. Exactly what he said. Lawyers, Wall Street people, blue collar, white collar, all sorts of people. No weed people. I didn't see no weed people, no hippies, no, but that's what I was thinking. I was like, holy shit, where the weed people at? He said, no, this is weed people, but not what you think. This is the different world. This is what weed is about to get into.
This is weed business now.
This is weed business.
Like stocks.
Not even smokers. Everybody there's
No.
probably not even a smoker.
It's
Kind
like
of.
stocks and like,
Yeah.
and like HR and CPG and like, you know what I mean? And lawyers and
Shit like that.
and CFOs and shit like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck is this? I couldn't believe it. I was like, yo, this is all right, so cool. So now we chill there and we see that the after party is like at a bar with people drinking at. I said, yo, isn't this a weed conference? Let's start taking all these people. Let's start taking all these people back to the spot. And we just started taking these people all back to the spot. And now we got all these legal people down with all our celebrities and the rappers and the actors and the gangsters and everybody's having a good time. And we took the brand serious from there, Then we started making merch. They were like, "All right, that's it. This is not the illegal. Let's start branding the legal parts of this."
What was it called at the time?
It was still Happy Monkey the whole time.
Nice. So
Happy
how-
Monkey
how the-
420 the whole time.
How'd
Happy
the name
Monkey.
come up then?
So me with my crazy ass, I was fucking like, monkeys has always kind of been my thing, and I'm always getting high, and then just one day I was like, I want to do something and I want to call it like something positive, because at the time too there was a lot of rough brands coming out, like a lot of hip hop brands and Tough Gorilla or some crazy shit like that. I was like, that's not what I want. That's not what we do anyway. Like, we get tough if we have to. Like, that's not something that I want to walk every day in. I'm not trying to walk every day in chaos.
Project that energy,
Absolutely.
So we wanted to project something that pulls people in, and I was like, Happy Monkey. Nobody's gonna be mad at a
Nobody
Happy
can be
Monkey.
mad at that.
How you mad at a Happy Monkey, fam? And it's like, that's it. And we kind of just ran with it,
For me, I give you my perspective,
Please,
of the way it was. Like I said, like I came home, just like he said, the welcome home party, all that stuff. Just like he saw of me, like, the honor, I did my time. I saw of him because I knew people he was working with, things that he had done, some honorable things, and he was a person of his word, and he moved with certain honor and morals, principles, and values. So that attracted me to think about us doing things together.
Mm-hmm.
Then at the same time, because like he said, there's like, I just came out, it's like a whole new world. I've been away for 3 years. It's like all the new players, and after what I just been through, I'm not really into dealing with all these new people, you know what I mean? So aside from him, I was dealing with my other two partners, shout out to J and O, which are the people that own that studio where he said Fight Club Studio.
Okay.
So same thing, they were like us, where they were like also not trying to meet many new friends, and they were doing their music thing, and also we're doing, thinking about different events and things to do there. So then right there, it's like, we're all looking to do different things. He has this idea. They already also are thinking the same way to do something innovative and different. And right there, that's when we formed like Voltron and started doing these events.
Nice.
Because now I have a network, he has a network, they have a network. And now when all of that came together, Harlem, Heights, Bronx, it was like Voltron and, everything he said, plus like, all of that coming together was like a great synergy.
Yeah, man.
Hell yeah, that's great. So let's jump into the podcast. How did that come about?
Perfect segue, right? So because of all that interaction with different people coming in and out the studio, our friend International P, who is still, he's actor, writer, producer, all sorts of shit, right? He is looking at us with this movement happening.
He was the host of that show, Fight Club. That was on
it
MTV.
was a battle rap show back in the days.
He's the host.
My man
the
was
skinny
the host.
guy.
Yeah, that's
That's
our
him
friend.
right there. There you go.
I used to
International
watch
Free.
that shit heavy.
International P. That's our friend, yo.
There you go.
100%.
Crazy.
And then our partners, J-No's the ones that founded that Fight Club, that TV show.
Exactly.
Yeah, wow.
Yes.
Powerful crew right there,
So
man.
you already know. So you already know where it's coming from, right? So he is literally watching us, sitting right there watching us like, yo, y'all crazy. I'm like, what you mean, P? He's like, you know all the people that be coming in and out? Y'all got to start interviewing these people. Something. Y'all got to do something. I don't know what it is.
Because we're not thinking like that, because we're coming from the underworld, so we're like anti-camera, anti-pictures.
Microphones, nah.
Microphones. But he's like, no, like he sees what we don't see, that like, you know, this is not normal to have all these different worlds in one place together.
Yeah.
And he's like, it's simple. We're in a recording studio. We just take somebody for 5 minutes. We can ask you some questions or whatever. And that's how that started.
And that's how that started.
amazing.
We started with him.
And what year is this?
This is like 2018.
Yeah,
Wow.
2018, almost 2019. We started with him, and he started like a show, and he started doing this, he started doing that. But he's like, guys, I love y'all. People want to talk to y'all. Why don't you start a podcast? So we went ahead and did a pilot, just me and him, just like talking it out or whatever the case may be. And like you could see the growth. Like if people like go down the rabbit hole of like our podcast, you'll see the growth. You see that it's raw. It's somebody holding the camera. It ain't like it's still. It's just us talking. And we started with audio in the beginning, and we try not to do video. But then later we would get comfortable, and then we started doing more video and more video and more video. And it was crazy because people participated. They gave us mad love. Shout out to Jay Ivy and Cootie, right? They were like one of our first huge main guests. And we were nothing. I mean, it's not like we had like a running podcast where we had thousands of views and shit. It was nothing. They just loved the vibe. They're like, hell yeah, we'll show up. So, you know, shout out to like everybody that kind of jumped on that
like
moment.
Think about it, right? We're running an illegal speakeasy on Times Square. So like he said, we got Cootie and J Ivy, and we also got, remember, like I said, where he said we're in the loop of these conferences and now what's going on a national, global level. We had the CEO of the Canadian Securities Exchange on the podcast.
Shout out to them and
When
the
we
squad.
was illegal in New York.
Yes, shout out to
So it's
them.
like you said, these people believed in us. With like they wouldn't
squad.
they were
That's
they
crazy.
were willing to come out and speak with us publicly and stuff like that.
Yeah, and you know, and it was a fucking and it was like, fuck it, yo. Like at least this is kind of like a narrative that we can control, and we started like doing that. But in between time, I want to mention that this was kind of like a moment right before the podcast was coming on and stuff. It was also a moment where Vlad was emerging as a personality, as a person, as a speaker, as somebody who's kind of like. He is our leader now. He's our CEO. So that's the hope. That was the point, because he's always been a very social person, even on the block. He was like the mayor. He spoke to everyone, La Doña, the chamaquitas, everybody, right? He spoke to everyone, right? So this was kind of like a talent that I knew would work for us. So when we had the events, I knew he would speak to everybody, so people gonna love that shit. I'm gonna smoke with everybody, people gonna love that shit. So I knew we was gonna kill with that. But now something is different is emerging, right? Now people like him as a personality. Now people want. So now I said, oh shit, I think yeah. So now he gets an offer from our friend Leo Bridgewater, who was doing a panel in the Brooklyn courthouse with The Source. You remember The Source?
Source magazine.
Source magazine. They were doing a panel, and in this panel,
But what do you mean in the courthouse?
in the courthouse,
Like that's where they were hosting it at.
yeah,
It
they
was
were
like
hosting. They were hosting like a panel. They were hosting like
a social justice educational panel kind of thing
Yeah.
All right, okay.
on
And,
cannabis.
Okay.
and Vlad is on the panel, and like two other people on the panel. Shout out to Branson, who old school OG,
Sheeta Dawson.
Sheeta Dawson, and these people's on the panel. And Vlad, this is his first panel. And
I'm a little
we have a
nervous.
meeting before this. This is like, we have like a whole meeting. He's like, yo, you think we should? I said, yes, you should do this. You should 100% jump on board. It's Branson. I don't think they're gonna make you speak no street shit or nothing.
Yeah,
like
because
that.
that was it. Your friend just like he said. I've always been a good speaker, so I wasn't worried about that. It's the trauma of being in the underworld and being in the streets of like, oh, like I'm gonna speak publicly, like something bad's gonna happen. Somebody's
in
gonna
a
see me.
courtroom too.
in the
Like,
courtroom.
like that sounds crazy.
Yeah, so it was like weird, but it was like no,
But
you
him and my
gotta do
partners
it.
was like, it's time. You gotta do it. Like,
Gotta do
you're the speaker. You're the face. That you gotta go out there.
You gotta do it.
Man.
And he did that.
And now from there, because of him and my partners gassing me, from that moment, now fast forward 2024, I've spoken at every cannabis big conference in the country.
What?
Vegas, Chicago, Miami, Benzinga, MJ Biz, and
Mexico.
the biggest cannabis
London.
conference in Mexico, the UK, and Spain.
What? That's
And
crazy.
I've spoken at the Yale Club and at Columbia University.
Yes.
Wow.
yes, yes.
So what do you speak about? Just education behind cannabis?
No, so it's that's a good question. It's several things, right? One is, you see, before New York, Francis, it's important for you to know this term that, shout out to our friend Dashida Sasha came up with, a legacy to legal, didn't exist. So what that meant was people that were doing it illicitly to become legal now. That term didn't exist because in every other state before New York, if you had a record, you could not get a license.
Oh.
So that's one thing I speak about. Then a social justice part about how, some say the war on drugs, the war on people, how it affects things, and also the business, about how there's some people that, like myself, that were were CEOs and were entrepreneurs, but because, it wasn't above board, you don't get the accolades, or people don't think that you can operate a legal business. But I think we're proving that you can maybe operate it better, because now you don't got to worry about cops and robbers and all this stuff. So to prove that people can transition and become entrepreneurs, and also to talk about the medicinal benefits, to how New York's program is changing everything, about how for every Caucasian person that was arrested during that time that me and Ramon were talking about when we got arrested in New York City, 8 to 10 Latinos and African American people were arrested.
Oh, yeah.
And how it was targeted, and how it, disenfranchised so many families, and how many people got killed during that process, how many people got deported, and how, now we have this $6 billion industry in New York, and we have this $100 billion industry in America, and nobody wants to talk about how we got there, that big gap of those 80 years of how did this get built, on whose backs, who did it, and etc.
Man. That's
my man be
incredible.
everywhere.
Spain.
Yeah.
How'd that one happen?
Yeah, because there was this organization, shout out to Jordan, he was there with me. It's called ICBC, and they do events in Germany, Spain, like all over Europe, because Europe has its own scene, because Europe is like where we were 10 years ago, because right now the first country to go federally legal was Germany, but everywhere else in Europe, even where Ramon went, in Holland, Amsterdam, it's quasi legal. It's like it was here, like it's medically legal, but it's not legal, and you can still get locked up, and this, that, and third. All over Europe is like that. So, it was a really good experience just seeing like how they are where we were like 10 years ago here in America.
Definitely. So I don't want to move too fast, but when does the store come in? Am I moving too fast?
No.
All right, let's do it.
No, you're right on
So
time.
how does that
So
happen?
the-
and the confidence to do it.
So the store comes in because you got to remember, I'll fill in some blanks from where Ramon left you off at. So remember, Speakeasy 2017, Ramon took you to about 2019, 2020. So now we created an ecosystem. Cannabis wasn't legal, but we found that we were on to something bigger, which was New York City cannabis lifestyle company, because before us, all the cannabis lifestyle companies were West Coast based. There was nobody really rapping New York and the New York lifestyle. So what Ramon just told you. So now we got a podcast, we got a newsletter, we got clothing, we got merchandise. No weed, because weed is not legal, but all these things that I mentioned are. So now we have this ecosystem aside from the club, right? COVID hits 2020, 2021. No more events. No more gathering at the lounge. But we created the things where we could still communicate with our people and our fans through social media, through the podcast, through these newsletters. So now cannabis comes on the bill in New York. And there's two bills at the time Cuomo was in office. What we have right now is the MRTA, which is the most equitable, best bill in the country, some say. I believe so. But at the time, there was another bill called the CRTA that Cuomo was trying to push, which was more conservative, no homegrown, no social equity licenses, no.
Yeah, that was big
et cetera.
investor talk.
It was more, like I said, more conservative for, like, you know, convenient for more affluent people. And we caught wind of that. We, you know, had big friends that were advocates, like Steve D'Angelo, that have fought things like this in the West Coast. People that have fought things like this locally. Black Lives Matter. Shout out to Hawk Newsom and his sister. So we had like these people that were big advocates, saw that we had an influence and was like, yo, you know, we already weren't feeling it, but they're like, you have a voice, you can fight against this. So we started a petition. We got thousands of signatures.
Nice.
We started putting the word out on all our socials, podcasts. At that time, Clubhouse was popping. I was on there spreading the word, getting signatures. And we, just to be clear, not just us, but there was other groups also fighting against it. Between us and other groups, we felt like we moved the needle and rung the alarm. And now it was like it's conversation where like people didn't want that bill, and we ended up with the one we have now. Then COVID is over. Now we can't. We fought for legalization in the way that we wanted it. It happened. We can't go back to trapping, because then we can't benefit off of what we fought for. We can't be part of that evolution. So now what we do is we start doing events, like compliant legal events, with big institutions that prior to us has never associated themselves publicly with cannabis. Example, the first 420 in New York, we did an event at Bobby Van's Steakhouse on Wall Street.
Wow.
We had like a vault with smoking inside, and you know, we had that crowd that Ramon said from high to low to all sorts of people from all walks of life, and we got some notoriety, came out in the news for it. And then after that, we followed up. I don't know if you remember something called the Van Gogh Immersive Experience. That there was like installations all over the place at
Sounds
the time.
familiar.
It was like a global art installation that was like an immersive art Van Gogh situation. We partnered with them.
Really?
Yeah, we partnered with them, and it was like Happy Munkey Van Gogh after hours. They let us take over their 50,000 square foot space after 9 p.m.
No way.
And we brought out like 1,200 people.
Wow.
Like $200 a ticket.
crazy.
And we really, you know, had like a fly New York weed party on the water with Super Bowl champions and rappers and athletes, and you know, it was like a
Fucking news.
fly vibe.
The news was there. That shit was
Then
wild.
we had a follow up. It was so good they let us do a follow up. We had an all white weed party.
Man.
Yeah, and like everybody dressed in all white. That same thing caught a lot of
That's
notoriety.
nice.
So now we're getting a lot of press because this is compliant, because we're not selling weed. You're just allowed to smoke weed. And in New York is the only place in the world where you could smoke weed anywhere you can smoke cigarettes. So that place had a backyard by the water on the pier. So
We decked it out,
everybody
made it look
went
crazy, put all the
and-
activations back there.
Everybody went inside the place, caught a vibe, and then went outside and smoked. So that was a big deal. Then we followed that up by having we had a 5-year anniversary at the Classic Car Club. Another institution, never associated themselves with cannabis. They're like a private car club.
Yeah, right
Then
on the west side, right on the water.
we had a 7-10 event at Gallo on the Green, which is the McKittrick Hotel, another fly venue that hadn't really associated themselves with cannabis. We had we also did something at the Museum of Sex. That was like one of our last events.
Man.
Yeah. Hold up, don't skip the Columbia
That's
Forum.
what I was
Happy.
gonna say. Yeah. So then so what we realized during that whole conference circuit was that there was a reason, right, Francis, that our people weren't getting this information. We didn't know about conferences. And the reason was that these things were being held in Chelsea, Tribeca, Soho. And then even if you did find out about them, tickets are $300, $400, $500, $600, $700, $800 a ticket. So our people are never getting that information. It's not in their areas. It's not coming on their radar. So that's how people are staying out the loop. So us knowing that, we felt like we had to do something about that. So we partnered with the local community board from where I grew up at, Community Board 9. Then we were able to get a space that Columbia University let us use on 125th Street. And we brought a doctor, Dr. Rachel Knox, shout out to her, that specializes on the endocannabinoid system. We brought out the Manhattan Borough President, Mark Levine. We brought out the local council member, Sean Abreu. We had opening statements by Adriano Espaillat. And we gave all this for free to the community and free translation services. We had sponsors pay. But just to make the point, like, you could do this in our communities and you don't have to charge all that money. And that was like us proving that point.
That's amazing.
So now, after that, applications come out. Applications called CARD, which are for people that come from in areas impacted by the war on drugs and that were arrested for cannabis. And that's when all of me, Ramon, and all of my partners, we all apply. And
that's amazing.
That's how we end up where we are now. And first round, none of us get picked. Second round, none of us get picked. Me and Ramon get picked in the last round. And I'm literally the last person to get picked of that program right there.
Wow.
And then that's how we ended up on Dykeman. September 16th, we had our ribbon cutting. By the way, I think it's important to say, you remember that story earlier about the 1 ounce 16?
The 1 ounce 16.
That when I first started my cannabis career, when I was
at
high
16
school,
years old, yes.
At 16 years old, I went and bought an ounce of Dykeman.
Yep.
So that ounce was purchased around the corner on Dykeman and Sherman, from where we have the first legal licensed dispensary now.
Wow.
So about a full circle moment. And then, we haven't spoke about it much, but we're going to drop it here with you. We have another dispensary open that is his licensing, hopefully at the end of this month, in downtown Fulton Mall.
Yeah, Brooklyn.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah.
It's going to be same name?
Same
Happy
name,
Munkey?
Happy Monkey. Absolutely.
Nice.
Absolutely.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So the application was to get a license.
Correct.
Nice.
A retail license.
Wow. So how did it happen in Inwood?
We had to search. It's complicated to get property for cannabis. So you have to be 250 feet from a house of worship. You have to be 500 feet away from a school. You have to be 1,000 feet away from another dispensary. And the landlord has to be okay with you selling cannabis in his property. So we had to look at a lot of different properties to check all those boxes.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and I think after we finally found that one, it was like an easy, we loved it. I'm like, that's it, man. This is dope. This is historic. We could be the first legal dispensary in Dykeman. You know what I mean? Like, that's a big deal.
That's amazing. So it's still federally illegal, right?
Correct.
Yes, correct.
So is there any fear there with them ruining what you have going on?
Not really, because right now, at one point there were more fears, but right now it feels like every couple of months another state goes legal, and now the majority is on our side. What do I mean by that? There's like 34, 35 states that are legal now, and every couple of months there's new ones being added. So it's just at this point, like, the majority's tipping towards legalization. So I don't know when it's going federally legal, but I don't see them, putting more than half the country against themselves, the federal government. It could happen, but I just think it's unlikely.
All right, so I'm Dominican. I don't know if you guys know. Dominicans, old school Dominicans think of weed like heroin. It's the worst of the worst.
Absolutely.
You're the devil if you smoke weed.
Yes.
How'd you guys do this for so long? How do your families feel about it?
Well, I come from a family of OGs, even though my mother never really liked me smoking, especially when I was younger, right? But as I got older, she saw that I was an adult. I took care of shit. She didn't care. But after a while, once she saw that I was taking like a legal path, and she saw, oh shit, they just doing events, and they just doing this, and they getting into licensing, and oh, he's about to open up a store. You know, that changes it. That changed for her and maybe anybody around her now. You know what I mean? Because now they're looking at it different. It's not like, oh, it's a muchacho doing something now. Like, I'm literally by the state licensed. I'm not
Paying
playing
taxes.
I'm paying taxes. I ain't playing. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not playing, ma. And that changed a lot of the perspective once she saw and not for nothing, once they saw that they went legal, it changed a lot for them. Like they see it, right? It's on the news now, you know, and shit like that. So it's like, you know,
So they're coming around. But it took all the way till you have the license for them to believe it.
Yo, listen to this. Now I'll give you the extreme opposite version of that. You ready for this?
'Cause that sounded so nice and peaceful.
So I'm gonna give you the opposite extreme version of that. You remember when I was 12 years old and I'm interning. So I'm interning for drug dealers that are selling hardcore drugs,
100%.
not cannabis.
No.
And they are like, you smoke drugs? We don't want you working with us. Had to hide it from them. And they're
That's
selling
crazy.
hardcore drugs. So see how serious the stigma is. The Hicks or no?
Word up. The Hicks don't play with
They
that
look at you different. Like, you smoke drugs. I gotta watch it with you.
Can't trust you.
That's how serious the stigma was back
Yo,
then. Like,
that's
crazy.
crazy.
the stigma was
My man
hard,
selling
Because
coke.
it's like that you know, that fucking Nancy Reagan. You know, your brain on drugs plus Catholicism plus, you know what I mean. You know, all the misinformation that they
The
had
ways of the
heard.
island is just alcohol and that's it.
But you know what, man? Look, because we stand outside every day, right? And one of the good things that I like to see is even the old ladies, when they look up and they see what it is, they go, oh, marijuana. But if I'm there, right, I'm able to tell her, hold on, you right. But there's also a medicinal side to it, and it's not cannabis. There's oils, there's tinctures, there's creams. The creams don't get you high, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, just so y'all know. Like, if it's shit is for pain, the shit is not going to get you high. So, you know, being able to kind of at least let them know, like, simple 101s, like, look, this is legal. This is not just some crazy illegal store. This is medicinal. You can use different, somebody is here is going to guide you the right way, right? So once they see that, even though they still don't like weed, they go, okay, well, at least it's legal, whatever, right? So every day I get to at least convert one person into thinking, okay, at least that's some sort of safe situation, right? They know that they kids can't walk in there. You got to be 21 and over. You can't just walk into the dispensary, right? You got to have ID. So there's rules to this, right? And they at least respect that there's rules, and it's legal, it's by the law. Some people use it for medicinals. Look, you know, even yesterday there was an old lady that I spoke to that she walked in. She's been going to the doctor for years, and they've been giving her all sorts of pain meds for her nerve pain and all that other stuff. And the doctor at the end was like, you know what? I think you should just go try cannabis. And the lady just came, like, she came on her own, and she came and asked a bunch of questions, and she was like a little bit timid, but she was able to speak to me, right? Because someone in there speaks Spanish, so we were able to kind of like speak, and we went through the whole process. And now she's gonna try it because she needs to try a secondary pain med, which is at least that's natural and it's coming from the plant. So I love that we're in that area, because regardless of the fact, I'm able to at least tell people it's safe, and that's it. This is the world is legal now. This is the evolution. Do you want to see somebody else in your neighborhood doing this, or do you want to see somebody like me that's doing this, right? And at least I'm guiding you the right way, and it's safe, and it's by the law.
Someone like her, what would you recommend her?
Well, for her pain, we were recommending something like tinctures, right? Because she doesn't smoke, so we don't want her to smoke, right? And she's not, you know, she's an older lady. She doesn't necessarily want to eat sweet stuff either, right? So these are things so I kind of recommended her some tincture and try the tincture, right? And if that works for her, you know, and then with tincture, she can actually dose herself correctly, right? You don't overdo it with these things. So she can kind of like, you know, dose herself very slow and kind of like, you know, ease her way into it.
Tell us about the weed in prison.
That's
Was he rolling
That's
in
that's
Bible paper?
that's a crazy situation. It's crazy that you mentioned that. I haven't spoke about that. So weed in prison is so valuable, right? It's like super duper expensive. It's like $20 for like a stick, like meaning like
A branch?
like a little like a toothpick joint. And the crazy thing is, right,
crazy.
that
smoking them
it's
joints.
it's amazing, right? Yeah, you can smoke them and all that, but then the flip side is that weed takes 30 days to get out of your system, and all of a sudden somebody says Jordan brought something on the compound, and they say call everybody for urine, and now, even though it's amazing and, you know, wouldn't trade it for anything in the world, if your urine comes out dirty, you will be going to the box for 6 months, tier 3.
6 months.
6 months, 3 months. You're going to be going away for a while. And now, if you got, like, arrested for drugs, there's a program called ASAT. You, like, lose that. It's like this whole mess.
Wow.
So it's just like cannabis
foul.
is so amazing, but like they make you go through all this shit to smoke it. It's super expensive. Then if you get caught, they make your life impossible. So, but it's just crazy because the human being is amazing because of everything I said. There's always a bunch of weed in every prison I ever was at. You can't stop. You
Definitely
can't
can.
stop human beings from freedom of choice and what they want to do. Do you want to know what's crazier?
Yeah.
Remember I told you I was in the box for 120 days? They had weed inside the box. So they would go and they would have strings and they would fish it to each other through the bottom of the cells. Like human beings are capable of doing whatever when they want something.
That's no joke.
Yeah, fishing is an art. I still don't understand it. It's difficult stuff.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. Like,
Yeah, when we're put in any situation, we can adapt.
Word.
Absolutely. Are you guys religious?
I grew up Catholic, but I'm more spiritual. You know what I mean? I felt like, you know, after growing up, you get confused because it's just like you see so many issues over religion and so many politics with it that I believe in God and I'm spiritual, but not necessarily anything specific.
How about you? You religious?
Ditto, kiddo. Ditto.
Who's the first person you think of when you think of success?
Ooh. Oh, I got one, and this person is not known in the world, right? He's not a famous person. He's probably not even the richest person, but this person gave me a burst of like, oh shit, like that's what success is. So I've traveled to Trinidad a couple years in my life, right? Maybe like 4 years in a row. I love Trinidad. Fucking awesome ass place. Awesome carnival. And we stay with friends of family, right? So they're like family to me. So this is who we stay with when we go to Trinidad, right? And the man of the house, OG of the house, you know, got a wife, he got kids. His kids are grown. He got grandkids. He's the man of the house, right? And they live in a nice neighborhood. It's not like they live in a like ghetto ass neighborhood. They live in a decent neighborhood. Has a house. His son built his own little cottage in the back of their land. You know what I mean? Like they live decent. They're not like poor. They live great in the island. And I tell him one day, I go, OG, he's the one who got me weed when I got there, the OG, because he used to smoke. The OG, he took me to the rosters. So the OG, you know, I'm talking with the OG. He's like, yo, I'm like, OG, why you don't come to the States? He goes, the States? For what? Do you not see how I live here? I live wonderful. I gotta get up, fix a couple cars for a living, maybe if I want to, but all my kids are grown and successful. I've been to every state before you were born, young man. I've been to the cities. I've been to every major city, and I did it up. I was in the Marines here. I did all sorts of shit. Go to New York? For what? Do you see how great I live here? I'm in paradise every day. So success to me is finding your paradise, right, in your mind and in your heart, and where you want to live every day, right? That doesn't necessarily mean that you want to be, in a fucking penthouse overlooking the city, or his thing is he's near the beach if you want to go to the beach. He's near the beers if he needs to get some beers. He's near his women if he needs to, you know what I mean? Like he got everything. And if he needs to travel, if he needs to get up and go somewhere, he got that too. So, you know what I mean? So to me, it's the OG from Trinidad. That is success, right? And whenever he's been through it all, been through life, right? So making it to old age and being happy at that old age, to me, that's success.
Nice.
You know? And helping people out along the way like we've been doing, you know what I'm saying? Absolutely. I'm from New York. I definitely want money. But I think that right there is success.
It's crazy. You hit me with a crazy question. I had to think about that for a while. And I'm gonna hit you with a knuckleball like Ramon did. You're gonna be ready for what I'm gonna tell you. To me, when I think of success, I think of somebody. I'm gonna mention a podcast person. I don't know if you know Gillian Wallow. I think of Wallow.
Yeah.
When I think of success, you know why? Because I'm a firm believer that people believe that the highest level of success is whoever transitions from this world when you pass away, whatever happens, is whoever has the most number of zeros in their bank account. And I believe that that's not true. I believe that the highest level of success, in my opinion, is whoever has the highest number of zeros of people they positively impacted. So I mentioned him because he's somebody that, from what I know, I don't know him personally, did all his time, stands on certain morals, principles, and values, and now has made his platform some way to empower people and prevent them, and giving advice to the youth and that he's passionate about to not have to go through what he went through, and help them not have to take certain paths. So to me, that is the ultimate level of success. Standing on what you believe in, helping as many people as possible during the journey, and helping your family and yourself as well. So, but like I said, to me, that's the highest level. Is whoever reaches the highest number of people that they positively impacted before they transition from here to wherever we go.
I like that. Definitely. You have any book that really impacted your life?
That's a good one right there.
Like the number one book. I'll tell you mine. What you think? The Four Agreements. You know that one, right?
Yes.
That's like the number one book that I recommend people, because I feel like it's a short book, and it's just so impactful. I think it's the beginning of helping people open their mind to what really matters.
To me, I just read so many of these when I was away in the university, so to pick a favorite, it's tough. But
university,
I'll pick one then while you wait, because I haven't read 1,000 billion books. I'm not a book guy. I wasn't in jail. I didn't do none of that. But I'll give you one that I literally just gave it to Vlad. It's called Chicken Noodle Soup for the Soul. I'm gonna tell you why, right? Because I'm a micro reader, and this is perfect for the micro readers. You don't necessarily got to sit there and read a bunch of pages. You can read a bunch of short stories, but most of those stories, if 100% of those stories, are positive, real life stories. Something that happened. It might have been a doctor or a psychiatrist or a CEO or a Vladimir. Somebody gave us an inspiring story, and each story hits you a certain way. So for me, it was good for me to read either in the morning, real quick, before I hit the day, or at the night if I had a rough day. I could read something like that, and it'll hit me, and it'll go, oh shit, there's people out there that's going through stuff and done extraordinary things just by doing, like, maybe just putting their heart to it, right? Because we all hear these things by positive people. Oh, you should put your heart to it, and you should put this. But honestly, it's real hard for a human being to go through a lot of trauma and go through life and do something extraordinary without having some sort of positive light somewhere in there, right? So it's good. I like to read Chicken Noodle Soup for the Soul, because that's exactly what it is. It's something like, literally, you can kind of read it, and it'll make you feel like, oh, let me get up and do my fucking thing, So yeah, you know, shout out to them, you know, because there's like a group of people who did that book. But
Nice.
So, damn, I can't remember his name right now, but one of his books is called the Power of Myth, and that's a really good book because he focuses on a lot of the hero's journey. And the reason I like that book and a lot of his books are that right now I'm spacing out. I can't remember all of his books, and the reason is because if you really think about it, everything that we know about and everything that we follow and everything that we're inspired by is a different version of some hero's journey. So that is like the basis of a lot of what society goes off of. Like, you heard that Ramon conquered this. You heard that Jordan did that, and he did it in this way, and he did it in a moral way. So it's just like that's why his books are so amazing to me, because it wasn't, like you said, religious. It was just like spiritual, and just on that basis that what inspires us, like Ramon said, is these positive heroes' journeys and myths. And I give you one that they interviewed him one time that really hit home to me. He said, interview asked him, he said, what do you tell somebody, one person that wants to make a difference? There's so much evil in the world. There's death, there's diseases, there's war, there's all these things happening in the world that are not good. What can one person do? And what he said was, I will have to take you back to what the native, indigenous people believed. They believed that the world has always been a wasteland. Things are born, things die, there's chaos in between. The only thing that one person has power to make a difference of us, for you to be whatever you wish the world was. We have no other power, and
lead by example.
That's the only power we have.
I like that
in actuality. So
his name is Joseph Campbell.
Correct. Joseph Campbell, and has a power of myth, hero's journey, and so then he's definitely one of my favorite authors because of that.
I'm gonna look into both those books.
Yeah.
Those sounded really good. Definitely. When it comes to Happy Munkey, yeah, definitely. Yeah. When it comes to Happy Munkey, what's the biggest goal? What is the best case scenario with the brand, the store, the podcast, the whole shebang?
Wow. I will add, the only thing that's missing at this moment in time is the consumption lounge piece. Turning, our speakeasy event into a legitimate piece of our, I guess, ecosystem again,
To me, it would be for us to become a global entity expands everywhere. But the most important part is that it could start with 4 heroes' journeys that started in the bottom of the bottom, and were able to take it global, not because they had some magic trick, because they tricked people, because we had a movement that represented the people, and the people pushed us to be global because we were inspiring them, breaking glass ceilings, kicking down doors for the next movement to come, and the next group of people that look like us to go through.
Very nice.
Bars.
I love it.
My man got bars.
Outside of Happy Munkey, your personal lives, what are your overall life goals?
Well, one of my biggest is, I have a daughter, is to try to be the best father I can and create the best path for her to be as happy and as successful as possible. That's a big one for me.
Add that the same for me, because I'm a dad. I'm a girl dad as well. To stay healthy as well, so I could be around for her. You know what I mean, for a long time. So we could do things, and I could still feel not like old. I want to be. I don't want to feel old when my kid is in college and she needs some new shit. She want to do some new shit. I could come outside. Yeah, really, really. As simple as it sounds, I'm really just looking for some sort of peace of mind. Honestly.
Nice. We're nearing the end of the podcast. You could please let the people know where they could find you. I don't know if you guys want to give out your personal pages or just the Happy Monkey links and stuff like that.
All the shits.
Yeah, definitely. We're gonna give it all. So the censor of truth for Happy Munkey is happymunkey.com. Happy Munkey with a U, HAPPYMUNKEY.com.
Yes, sir.
Personal is Vladimir Bautista with a U, BAUTISTA. And you can find me all there, and my
Absolutely.
brother, Sorry Pops.
And everything Happy Monkey, basically, you can find us on YouTube. You can Google us. We podcast is there. The stores is there. The address is 151 Dykeman Street. The Brooklyn one is 453 Fulton, literally Fulton Mall. You can find me on Instagram, Zuri's Pops _ because that's my daughter's name, so Zuri's Pops.
Nice.
Yeah, you can find me there. But everything Happy Monkey, man, see me there.
Why the U instead of the O?
It was an Instagram thing, right? And
Intellectual property.
Yeah, it was
There
like,
you
and
go.
it was like a bunch of like different things. It was like a lot of things aligned with that situation. I was like, this just looks better. It sounds better. It's just everything,
Nice.
Yeah.
You want to share anything you guys have coming up that you want people to tune into? And any last advice?
Well, we definitely want you to continue tuning in to everything we have coming up, from the podcast to events to our next dispensaries opening. And I will leave people with some words of advice.
Some bars.
Remember, you're too blessed to be stressed. Things will get greater later. You just got to always choose happy.
I like it.
Can't mess it up after that. You just gotta just boom.
This is you second that? That's what I mean.
Peace.
Thank you guys very much for coming on and opening your lives up. Your stories are very impactful and inspiring. It's amazing.
Thank you, brother.
Thank
having
you for
us, man.
amplifying our voices. It's important that we share our stories, and we have people that align with us that can help us feel comfortable to speak about them.
Yeah, man. And shout out to the Yonkers. Now y'all got another excuse to come to Dykeman. Because a lot of y'all brave coming, the home of the brave. Everybody, now y'all got another excuse. Come see us at 151, man. We there.
I like that. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Peace and love.